Hello learners, you're most welcome. This is Education Online. I am teacher Olunya Agnes Okot, teacher of English language and literature in English. Today, I'm going to teach you English language for Senior 1 and Senior 2. And our topic of today is antonyms. The topic is antonyms. Right, before we begin to look at some of the examples of antonyms, let me define to you, or let me give you the meaning of the word antonyms. Let us see. Antonym just means a word that expresses the opposite of another word. For instance, if you look at one word, then if you get the opposite of that word, that is already an antonym. Therefore, you can write it down with me. Antonym is a word that expresses the opposite of another word Okay, if we are saying that antonym is a word that expresses, to express means to give out, that expresses the opposite of another word. Then let us look at this example. If I give you a word like regard, if I give you a word like regard, and I ask you to get the opposite of this word regard, you will tell me it will change into disregard. Therefore, this will be disregard. Meaning not to consider it. Meanwhile, this one means to regard means to consider it. This one means not to consider. It is already the opposite of this word. Therefore, disregard is an antonym of the word regard. We are going to call that original word as our root word. But before we begin to do this, let me show you where antonyms are got from. One, it is got from what we call suffixes or prefixes. It is got from A, prefixes. B, it is got from abstract. Right. If it is got from prefixes and affixes. Then for us, in this lesson, we are only going to look at part A. And this one only, these prefixes. How do we form antonyms or opposite of words using these prefixes? You can write it there. Prefixes are just words which are added, letters actually, which are added at the beginning of a word to form another word. For instance, if we have a word like connect. If connect is our original word, which we call the root word, is the mother word in this case. If you add some letters to disconnect, it will become disconnect. For instance, if you add a letter like D, I, S, this word will form into another word as disconnect instead of connect. You would have already formed the opposite of the word connect from here. If this was our root word, therefore, this one becomes the added letters. The added letters. And when it is added letters, we call it a prefix. If there are many, you call it prefixes. Let us now see, how do we now form these antonyms from the prefixes? Adding these letters, some of the letters, to some root words or mother words. 1. Let us start with prefix this. There are so many prefixes, like we have prefixes like this. We have prefixes like im. We also have another one like in. We can also have ir. Not only this one, we can also have added letters like non, N-O-N. Can also work as a prefix to root words. We can also have others like AB. Still, this AB can be added to root words to form opposite. But for us today, we are going to ignore these other ones. All this. We will only look at the prefix this. So we are going to use this prefix this to form our opposites or to form our antonyms. And in our formation of the antonyms, we will first of all start by root words or the mother words. Now let us look at some of these words. Then together we will add this to them to form the opposite. Look at word like, let us first write here root words. Then here we'll come here and say antonyms. Now, let us start. Let us look at a word like courage. If you get a word like courage, you can also get a word like regard. You can get another word like organize. You can also bring another word like connect. Now, let us form the antonyms from this word using the prefix this. This one will now change into discourage. Meanwhile, this one will now change into disregard. Organize will change into disorganize. It's the opposite of the word organize. Now you'll come here and say disorganize. You will still come here and add the word these letters, this into the word connect. It will become disconnect. Still, it will be the opposite of all this one. So for you will get your other color of the pen. If you're using blue pen, get a black pen or red pen and underline the word this, 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 this. And you should know that even without this, all these words can exist as mother words. All these ones, they can exist without. But when you're changing them into the opposite, you add this to form the opposite or the antonym of those words. We can continue to go on and look at more examples. Look at the word unite. Unite. If you add this into this word, it will be this unite. You will come here and say this unite. The one written in green is our prefix. Meanwhile, the one written in blue is our root word. It is this one here. You transfer the root word here, you add the prefix this to form the opposite of that root word. You can even look at the word, you can look at the word comfort. If you write this word here, comfort, comfort. If you want to get the opposite of this word, you will just use the prefix this at the beginning. Pre mean before. Pre just mean what is before something. For instance, prehistory. You remember prehistory was that period when humans were not writing. They were only narrating oral stories. So that's what we call pre. Even in the formation of opposite, we have what we call prefix, fixing before the root word. Now let us prefix something here. We will say this. Then we come here and say comfort. Comfort. Therefore, you would have formed another word from this root word to form the opposite of this root word. It will become discomfort is the opposite of comfort. Not being comfortable is what we call discomfort in this case. So you should not bother yourself. After identifying a word here, the root word, you should know. But you have to be very careful. Don't put this anyhow, anywhere. Because some of you will come and say, you write any word here, then you put this. For instance, if you write the word possible, possible, then you bring here and say disposable, disposable. It will be wrong. Not all the words will use this to form their antonyms. Therefore, you should be careful. Well, like possible will probably use the word im. We'll use this one. Then it will be impossible instead of disposable. So you have to be very careful here. We'll come and look at this one later. Words like possible, possible, we will see how their antonyms are formed later. But here you can use words like advantage, advantage. Then the opposite of advantage is disadvantage. You just add this one to make it this advantage. Advantage. By just adding this prefix word letters, you would have formed the opposite or an antonym of the word advantage. Let us look at what the government is doing currently in most states, in the Upper Nile, in other states. They are doing what they call disarmament, but it is from the word arm. So it is from the word arm. If you write the word arm here, arm means any weapon. Now, if you add this into it, it will become disarm. To disarm a person means you would have removed the ammunitions from him or the weapons from that person. So the opposite of this word arm will become disarm. Disarm. So don't say the government is removing guns from the civilians, then you say they are arming people. Will be applicable to another one. Don't say non-arming. Don't even say arming, because I said some opposites are formed by using in. No, it uses this. So it will be disarm. Disarm that civilian. Disarm that soldier. Disarm this person. Even you can use in words like place, honor, like. So you can write words like. I am in love with something. I like this dress. But if you want to say you don't like it, you don't need to say I don't like it. You can just apply this to mean the opposite of that like. So it will become dislike. I dislike that dress. I dislike that person. You would have formed opposites by just adding prefix this. Let us look at more examples before we say this is now the lesson for today. There are other examples like honor. Look at the word honor. Let us look at more examples and we see how they are used in sentences. Honor. Honor is written with H-O-N-O-U-R. It is British English, but without U, it is American in nature. We will learn that one next time. So you will come here and say dishonor. Dishonor. Meaning not to honor. So instead of using, we always use antonyms to avoid the word not to or not. So instead of saying not to honor, you will say I will dishonor your invitation if you don't give me the letter in time. I will dishonor. So you can also use words like on. Instead of saying not to on, you will just add this prefix this and say dishon. 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 So you just add this into the root word on, it will become dishon. Then just like in the word allow. Allow. Even in the word integrate. Integrate. Instead of saying not to integrate, you will say disintegrate, disallow, displace. Even place. Place is here. You just say disallow. Disallow. Disintegrate. And write your integrate without R after E. Just I-N-T-E-G instead of I-N-T-E-R. So disintegrate. Displace. Displace. So you can say don't displace my ruler from the table instead of saying don't place my ruler. avoid the word not by using this to mean the opposite of this root place. Just like in the word compose. Locate. Compose. Compose. It will become discompose. Discompose. Just like in locate. You will just come down and say dislocate. Dislocate. You would have formed another word which is the opposite of the root word by adding the prefix dis or dis. These are just letters which are placed before the root word to form another word which is the opposite of that root word. Even words like able, able, concert. You can say disable, disable, disconcert. So you see, just by adding this, you would have formed so many opposites of that very root word. Let us go on and see very many examples. Then we'll also learn how to construct sentences using these very many examples. Look at words like approve. Approve. Let us look at the word approve. Even agree. So write from this column and say approve. Approve. Even you can say agree. Then you come here and say disapprove. Just like disagree. Now, when you're using the root word approve, it means to consent to something or accept or even to sign for it. Then you can say, I will approve your proposal tomorrow. That is when you're using the word approve. But now if you want to say that you are not going to approve the proposal, you will come and say, I will disapprove your proposal because it is not well written. Therefore, you would have formed the opposite of the word approve from the word by using prefix dis, which is disapprove. When you come here under agree, it means it is positive in nature. You say, I agree with you because you are saying the truth. I agree with you because you are saying the truth. But now if you want to put it in the opposite way or an antonym, you will say, I disagree with you. It is not right to speak like that. So you see, you would have formed the opposite of this word agree by not using the word not, but only by using bis, which is the prefix added to these root words. So you can do without. This is just one way of forming opposites under prefixes. So if you use prefixes like this, like im, like in, like era, like none, like up, you can still form the opposite without using not. Therefore, you are free to use this to form opposite of some words, not all. In the next lesson, my dear learners, I will show you how to use the word none. I will show you how to use the prefix none to form opposites of very many words still in this way. But I would like you to note this before I leave or before I conclude the lesson. Please be very careful when the word is appearing in a particular tense. For instance, if the word appears in past tense, please make the opposite to be past. If the word appears in present tense, please maintain the tense in the root word. For instance, disapprove is infinity. It is present tense. Don't come here and say disapproved. Don't come here and say disapproved. You would have not got it right. If it is examination purposes, the teacher will just double underline D and condemn you. When the teacher condemns you in English, that means it is loss of marks. Condemnation in English is equivalent to loss of marks. Just like when it is you should maintain this, should be disarm, but not disarmed, not disarmed, not disarmed. It will be wrong. Not only maintaining the tense, my dear learners, be very careful also to maintain the word classes. If the word is a noun, let it be also a noun in the opposite. If it is a verb, let it be a verb also in the opposite. If it is an adverb or some other thing, let it also be in that form. For instance, disarm, and when you say to disarm, it is a verb. Don't come and say disarmament. Don't add ment in it. It will change into a noun. That naming that process. Meanwhile, this one is the action. So maintain also word classes. If you do that, you will not go wrong in forming antonyms of words. You will be very correct. Therefore, I urge you to be very vigilant when you are forming the opposites or the antonyms of words, especially when using prefixes. With this, my dear learners, we have come to the end of our today's lesson. Next time when I come back, I will teach you how to use N, which is none in English language, to form very many antonyms or opposite of words from the root words. God bless you. Bye-bye for today.